Hello everyone, I'm on fire today about fevers. I want to talk to you about what a fever is, when you should treat it, and when you should be concerned. And I want to start out with a little bit of a definition here. So experts do not consider something a fever until it is over 100.4. So if you tell me your child's running a 99.8 temperature, I'm going to write in the chart that they have not had fevers, okay? 100.4, and we get that number from 38 degrees Celsius. So that equals 100.4. That's where that weird number comes from. You can also have a low temperature. So I consider a low temperature hypothermia less than 96.8, and that comes from 36 degrees Celsius. So some weird numbers there. But 96.8 to 100.4 is in that normal range as far as experts are concerned. So what is the role of a fever? A fever is the body's way of kind of revving up the immune system in response to some outside invading organism, okay? It helps the body to fight infection. Chemicals are produced in response to this invading organism. Certain cells are produced that can help eat up that invading organism, and your body's also producing antibodies, which not only help to fight the infection, but also help to recognize the infection next time around so that it can fight it faster and better. So fevers between 100 to 100.4 are good in a lot of ways. Some people think that fevers can cause brain damage. Well, that is only true if it's like 100.8. And the only way to really get a temperature of 100.8 is a child that's like locked in a car in the heat of the summer. It is very rare for an infection to cause a fever that's in the 107, 108 range. Okay, so when should you treat it? Fevers can make you feel like crap, right? Fevers can cause decreased activity, trouble sleeping. They can make you really irritable, increase your heart rate. So the primary goal of treating a fever, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, should be to improve your child's overall comfort, okay? Help them to stop feeling so crummy. But if your child isn't feeling that bad and they're still sleeping and they're drinking well, then you don't really need to treat it. Typically, fevers don't really cause that much discomfort until it's over 102, 103. They can make your child feel a little tired, but they may still be playful, they may still be drinking, so you don't necessarily need to treat that fever. And just because you don't treat it does not mean that it's going to keep going higher. The brain knows that your body is too hot. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what the fever does in the body. I like to think of it as a thermostat. If you set your thermostat as 75 and your house is 70, your heater is going to kick on to increase the temperature in the house to that 75, right? Your body is doing the same thing. So fever kicks up, your brain is saying, okay, 100.2, and your body's only 98.6. So your body needs to rev up to get to that temperature, to get to that fever. The way that it often does that is you get chills and you shiver, and that's your body's way of actually building energy and building heat. In the same way, if that fever breaks and you're sitting there, your body's 102 and your brain says, nah, we're 98 now, then your body has to lose all of that heat to get back down. And the way that it does that is usually sweating, right? So oftentimes when a fever is breaking, you'll get kind of sweaty. And that's the way that your body regulates that temperature. So if the fever, the brain knows when your body is too hot, right? So just because you don't treat that fever doesn't mean it's going to keep going up, okay? I want you to understand that. Now, you can treat the fever with Tylenol, acetaminophen, or ibuprofen, but never give your kid aspirin. That's dangerous. It can cause really dangerous things. So acetaminophen or ibuprofen. But you can also do other things too, right? You can put the kiddo in a lukewarm bath. You can use cold washcloths. You can give them cooler fluids like refrigerated juices or a popsicle or something like that. Let's talk about when you should be concerned. Things that are reassuring to me as a pediatrician is a fever that's been less than 4 to 5 days or so, especially if your child is playful and eating and drinking normally. Even if they're a little bit more tired, if they are, and even a baby, if they're awake and babbling and they are kind of interactive with you, that is much more reassuring to me than a kiddo that won't get out of bed because they're feeling so crummy. Okay, temperatures less than 102 to 103 are more common and are usually less worrisome. It's pretty common for a child to get a virus and have a temperature for 2 to 3 days or so that's in those low grade temperature ranges less than 102. It's also not uncommon for children to get low grade fevers after immunizations, but just for a couple days. So if they're higher temperatures, like above 102 or lasting for longer than that, that's something that's a little bit more concerning to me. Let's talk about other things that are concerning to me. So first of all, let me say that you are the parent, okay? I'm a doctor and I know the science and I know the medicine, but you know your child. So anytime you feel like something isn't right or you're uncomfortable, call your doctor. I think it's so much better for you to have peace of mind and for you to know that your child is okay than to sit at home worrying about it, okay? So anytime you're concerned, you should see your doctor. The other thing I want to say is any baby under 3 months of age with a temperature above 100.4, call your doctor right away, okay? They do not fall into all of these other categories. Any baby under 3 months with any temperature above 100.4, you call your doctor right away, okay? Other things, a fever that lasts, like we talked about, more than that, 4 days or so, usually I'm getting a little bit more concerned that there may be something on top of that I should treat. If your child has not been staying hydrated, so if they're feeling super crummy and they won't eat and they won't drink, and now it's been 8 hours since they've last peed, or if it's a baby and they haven't had 4 wet diapers in a day's time, well, now I'm concerned that they're dehydrated, and it may still be that they have a virus, but they may need a little extra help. They may need IV fluids. They may need fluids through a feeding tube or something like that so that they can stay hydrated and their body can stay, can have the nutrients that it needs to actually fight off whatever this invading organism is. A temperature over 102 after immunizations, I think I already mentioned that. And any really high temperatures, like if your kiddo has a temperature of 104 or higher, especially more than once, probably should just call your doctor and kind of chat about what's going on. And the last thing I want to talk about is febrile seizures, or seizures that you get with a fever. These fevers seizures, febrile seizures, can happen in children less than 5, but they only happen in like 2 to 4% of kids. So it's rare, but it happens. The vast majority of time they are mild and not felt to be preventable by giving Tylenol or ibuprofen. So some of you have probably heard of somebody's kiddo who had a seizure with a fever. You giving your child Tylenol or ibuprofen is not going to prevent the possibility of this happening. I know that's scary, but that's just the science, okay? And I will say that the seizure doesn't happen because the fever is a certain height. So just because your child has a fever of 104 doesn't mean they're more likely to have a seizure with that fever than if the fever was only 102. It's actually the rate of rise, how quickly it goes from one temperature to another, that is thought to cause the seizure. Okay, now if your child does have a seizure, then you should lay them on their side. Don't put anything in their mouth. And you should let your doctor know. You should call a doctor or seek medical attention. But if that seizure lasts longer than 5 minutes, or it happens again, you have a short one and then there's a break and there's another one, then you should call 911 immediately. Those are certain things that make me more concerned that there's something else going on. Seizure longer than 5 minutes, or it doesn't happen just once. I hope that information was helpful. I hope I cooled your brain a little bit, pun intended, about fevers and when you need to treat them and when you don't, and when you could just kind of love on your baby and read books and snuggle and just be there because they feel crummy. Okay. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.